digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees, no more 9 to 5. What a way to make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradise. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees, no more 9 to 5. What a way to make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradise. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees, no more 9 to 5. What a way to make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradise. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees, no more 9 to 5. What a way to make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradise. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees, no more 9 to 5. What a way to make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradise.
How was marriage class? Good.
Watching it go, buying low,
That's just like a
selling high.
Vietnam tradition type thing, or what?
Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital
Yeah.
age. No banks, no
I guess I got the courthouse
just
marriage.
decentralized.
We got both going on. The paper's fine.
Crypto paradise. Ooh.
Yeah.
No banks, no fees,
Yep.
no more 9 to 5.
What's going on, friends, degens, and crypto paradise fam around the world? What's up? It is Nate here once again, like as every Wednesday, with the Hitman himself. What's going on, Hitman? How are we doing today? How you feeling?
Doing pretty good. I mean, since the last show, we bounced off that low. We do have the Fed meeting today, which is going to dictate a lot of the market direction. I think there's going to be, like on NASDAQ, a plus or minus 1.5% volatility unless he comes out and says absolutely nothing, which Powell does have the ability to do. He's done it before. He goes and speaks for 30 minutes and says absolutely nothing and then goes back to his office. But we'll see. Expectations from the markets is that there will be no rate cut change. But I think this is less about the rate cuts or the rates going up, and more about what he says. Is he going to be dovish? Is he going to imply future rate cuts the rest of the year? Is he going to admit that inflation is coming down? That's what we're going to have to wait to see. What's going on with you?
I think, yeah, it's been an interesting and rather actually slow week compared to the last couple of weeks when we've got on here. It's just been, absolute chaos. I think the last 3 weeks prior to this, when we've got on here to talk about what's been going on in the markets. This week, a little bit of a reprieve. Hasn't been quite as hot and heavy. You'll see some of the stories we're going to go over today are more just CT fighting amongst themselves. Interesting topics, but nothing super significant. I think a lot.
Yeah, and I was going to say I have no idea what you have to talk about, but I really, like you said, pretty quiet week. I think the only thing is really that discussed on my radar that's been relatively interesting is the big shorter, the 500 million Bitcoin short. I think he's still short right now at the liquidation at like what 85,600 or something.
Okay, I thought he had cashed in. I saw something that he'd cashed in and made like 100 million or something crazy like that, and rode off into the sunset.
That would be wild because really when he shorted, the liquidation mark was like 85,000. I thought the last I saw is he added to his short position, lowering his liquidation to 85,600. Again, that was a day or so ago, so he might have closed it. But it would be crazy if he made money. I know he was 40x short, but really the market didn't do anything. I guess he could have got out with a 1% dip on a 40x, which means you make 40% of your money.
That was a lot of CT this week. Was come on, let's get him. Let's liquidate this. It's like, come on, guys.
Like, the whale trying to buy it up.
With that.
Yeah, and then I guess the other bullish news is Friday of last week, Ethereum finally showed a little strength. I was saying, will Ethereum finally get to 2,000 this weekend? Didn't quite do it, but it did hit over 2,000 today. So just a few days after the weekend. Sitting at $2,030. Nothing really to brag about. The measured move on that, the next target's like 21.75. And again, the Fed meeting is going to have a big impact on volatility in the markets here later today.
Yeah, I think this might be the biggest green candle we've seen on Ethereum in a long time. Let's see. I mean, yeah, probably going.
And it's all of 1% or 1.5% or something.
Probably definitely the biggest one this year, maybe except for this candle here, but. Pretty much since November, it's been nothing but down for Ethereum. But yeah, you mentioned the Bitcoin short there, the big short. He's sitting right around here at 85K. We haven't gotten even close, since he's opened it. I think 83.5 was about the closest we've gotten. So I'm sure he is watching very closely with these FOMC. Although I'm gonna go ahead and assume he's expecting something a little more along these lines. Some fun J-Pow memes.
Good afternoon.
I can't see your screen right now. Oh, I guess it looks like the live stream can see the screen, so that's all that matters.
That's your typical animation. Sorry, you should be able to see my screen. Let's go ahead and rectify that so you're not in the dark here. There we go. Now you should be able to see it. But all right, sorry we couldn't laugh together on that one, but next time. But yeah, FOMC meeting today is we're in the wrong time. I think it's like 6 hours from now, something like that. Let me swap time zones here. Because yeah, it's about today. I guess gotta go to tomorrow. Yeah, 1 a.m. my time. So that is another 3.5 hours from now. We'll have the FOMC statement, and then the press conference about 30 minutes after that. So, but interest rates are currently at 4.5, expected to stay at 4.5. Something we talked about on last week's TA Tuesday was when you're looking at events like this, typically it's best just not to trade those days unless you have some sort of insider edge because they're very, very volatile anytime there's a major event like this, typically anyways. But in terms of like major impact, the only time we see these big events, whether it be CPI data, jobs numbers, or interest rates, FOMC meetings, is when there's something unexpected, right? So if the interest rates come out at 4.5%, market's not going to really do anything up or down, most likely. If anything, it might be bearish, but right now I think it's something like 98% on policy that the interest rates stay the same. So the market's pretty much got this factored in.
Poly market has it at 99% too.
99%. Yeah. So, I mean, the only time we see these events cause major market fluctuations is when something unexpected happens. We expect it to, CPI numbers to come in lower, and they come in exaggerated. We're expecting a 2.8 and they come in at 2, or where we see the opposite. So the only time these numbers really are going to make a huge impact is when the unexpected happens. We can have bearish numbers come out, but if the bearish numbers were already expected, it's probably not going to move charts much. We could have bullish numbers come out, but if the bullish numbers were already expected, probably not going to see a major impact in the moment. Now, longer term, obviously, those are going to factor in and influence the markets, but in the short term, watch for unexpected results if you're going to be doing any sort of trading on these kind of days. Overall markets, kind of talked about Bitcoin a little bit, been pretty boring the last couple days. We've been ranging pretty much between just under 84,000 to around, just under 82. So, compared to what we've seen the last couple weeks, relatively stable market for Bitcoin here. What are your thoughts? Are we starting to stabilize for a move up? Is this a stabilization? Do we see another wick down? What's Nick Stradamus feeling right now?
I mean, I think it's really hard to make any kind of comment here on a live show when the FOMC meeting's in 4 hours. Like I said, I think the expectation is there's no rate changes, but it all depends on what he says. If he says absolutely nothing with no rate changes, that meeting means nothing. But if he comes out and he focuses on, well, yes, inflation's down, but we have these tariffs coming, and we got all these unknowns, and he puts more fear of the unknown into the market, we're gonna see volatility. And on the other end, he can come out and be dovish, be like, hey, we're not doing a rate cut now, but we do recognize that inflation has come down. We do recognize that tariffs can be a good thing, XYZ. And if inflation still goes below our target of 2%, then we're gonna do a cut. And we know that Trueflation has inflation at 1.68%, which means by the next FOMC meeting, then we'll see a cut. So it's crazy that one individual who isn't elected, doesn't even work for the federal government, has so much implications and power over the market for today, but also for the next 45 days or so.
Yeah.
So it'll be wild to see what happens here.
Well, I think we are going to get another nothing burger, as we usually do from Powell. I think he comes out and bookends his statements, doesn't really say a whole lot of anything. I don't think he's going to move off his current position until he's absolutely forced to. So, yeah, I'm expecting not a whole lot to happen, and see the market kind of continue to consolidate, go sideways, maybe one more dip down. If we do get a quick dip down and a sharp, V-shaped recovery within a day or two, I think that's probably going to be the last dip we see before we continue upwards and onwards for the rest of this spring and into the summer here. But not expecting that turnaround to be quick, as we've kind of talked about ad nauseum over the last couple weeks here. But cool. Well, outside of the FOMC, which is kind of what everybody is waiting for, not too much else major to talk about. However, if you want to do a little deeper dive on the FOMC, Amaru did a great video here. A nice rundown of what the FOMC can mean for the markets here. If you haven't checked that out yet, it's a pretty quick watch. A little alpha tip, throw it on 2x. When you're consuming content, get the alpha twice as fast. But check it out. It's one of the first videos on the Crypto Paradise homepage there. Outside of that, something that Nick, both you and I individually had made some posts about this video early in the week. We've had a couple different things this week that have set crypto Twitter ablaze with their typical when it seems like when the markets are kind of quiet, they go to find anything they can nitpick and make it into the biggest catastrophe since Pearl Harbor. But Kevin O'Leary with his video, I personally thought this was a pretty benign, just basic common sense kind of statement. He said, if you're new to crypto, maybe don't dive headfirst into DeFi. use something that's a little more user-friendly, a little safer for beginners, like a major centralized exchange like Coinbase. And he's been getting absolutely lambasted as the biggest moron in crypto. Now, personally, I'm not a big fan of Kevin O'Leary in general with a lot of the stuff he's put out content-wise, especially around crypto over the last couple of years. I'm not one of those that thinks Mr. Wonderful is all that wonderful. However, I thought this was perfect. Tell me what he said wrong here. I don't see anything about his statement that is incorrect. Nick, I think we lost your audio. Give me 1 second. Can you hear me now? Go ahead.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, we got your audio back. Sorry about that. Anyways.
Yeah, I sent a tweet out that pretty much said the same thing. Unpopular opinion is that most people new to DeFi should simply be using Coinbase or Binance or whatever it is. I think for crypto, there's a lot of things you need to learn before you go self-custody your assets. Although people say self-custody is what you need, blah, blah, blah. Yes, that's what Bitcoin is made for. But there's a lot of flaws and errors that can be made with self-custody. And for most people using Coinbase or buying the Bitcoin ETF or buying the Ethereum ETF is a safer alternative to start getting exposure to crypto assets. As they're living in their busy daily life, they don't have so much time to commit to learning about crypto. So this at least gets them in the game, gets them incentivized to learn a little more, and then they can get self-custody. Then they can get MetaMask and play in all these crazy DeFi farms that we're talking about. Realize most people in the world barely understand their investment accounts. They have an auto-generated 401k investment plan. They have a financial advisor. They have no idea. They don't even participate in CDs at their local bank. So starting with Coinbase or starting with an ETF makes sense for, I would say, 95% of Americans and 95% of people across the world. And that may be an unpopular opinion, but that's how you get the mass onboarding. People aren't self-custodizing their stock assets. Barely people are self-custodizing their gold and silver. And I only do that because they can just throw it in a safe. They don't understand Bitcoin yet, and the safe way to onboard them is through these FDIC-insured centralized exchanges.
Absolutely. DeFi in its current state is still a nightmare hellscape full of landmines. If anybody listening to this right now, myself included, how many times did you fuck up when you first started using MetaMask, sending something to the wrong address, or spending gas multiple times, or there's so many things that can go wrong when you're using DeFi. It's not an easy learning curve. And so for people to come out here and be like, oh, this guy's an absolute idiot, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, for people like my dad getting into crypto, absolutely not. I would never recommend my dad to start, day one with DeFi. There's a lot of people out there, forget about crypto. Like, there's a lot of people out there that are just not tech savvy in general, right? Like, people that have trouble using their smartphones. You think they're going to jump headfirst into using fucking MetaMask? Get out of here. Like, there's a reason we have centralized exchanges. We have DeFi. I am 100%, I am a huge advocate for decentralization. But the bottom line is, we don't have the tools, the systems, the interfaces in place for easy user onboarding that is safe and usable for the average person. If you're honest with yourself, there's not a single person out here in crypto that when you first started, you didn't have major screw ups, right? You want to find a way to quickly turn the retail audience off is getting them in and having them rug themselves because they blast off a transaction into the ether and they can never get that money back. Long term, yes, absolutely, we need to get to people into DeFi, but if we're talking about, an easy way to people kind of dip their toes in the water, DeFi in its current state is not it. That is not a call to say, we need, centralized exchanges are the best, focus on that. Blah. No. That is a call. Yes, we need better education, but more importantly, a call to all people building in this space. We need to build better tools so that we can have easy ways for people to onboard into DeFi so that we don't need these large centralized entities. Because yes, there are risks involved with using centralized exchanges and not custodying your own crypto. What do we say? What do I say at the end of almost every single video? Not your keys, not your crypto, right? Stay safe out there. So 100% a big believer in that. But people coming out here and other things that upset me about this, people blatantly lying. It says, making a statement that he's saying that centralized exchanges like Coinbase can't be hacked. He never once says this in that video, that at least not in the 40-second clip that this guy posted. So I saw multiple posts where people were saying stuff that he putting quotes in Mr. Wonderful's mouth that he absolutely didn't say. Anyways, I don't know. Crypto Twitter was all butthurt about this week, and I thought it was absolutely asinine.
Well, and I think that's part of the reason that crypto Twitter and various projects have issues. It's like this should be praised as, oh my gosh, we're on Fox News with Lara Trump, Mr. Wonderful, in a Bitcoin bar.
Yeah,
a bar that is centralized around accepting cryptocurrency for food and drink. And instead, this is what you take out of it. Look, I have a private group, and I've been in crypto a long time. I tell my friends who are my age, who are pretty tech savvy, I tell people who are paying money to be in a crypto group, start out by signing up on Coinbase. You're going to use Coinbase as your main entry to get US dollars into the market, get US dollars out of the market, your first Bitcoin exposure. It's FDIC insured for $250,000. Does that mean that something catastrophic could happen and you don't get paid out? Sure, it's a possibility, but you have to start somewhere. And that's what I tell people to start. Hey, let's get Coinbase, do the free learn to earns, learn about it. Then let's get MetaMask, learn that. Then let's expand to, Phantom and look at Solana. You got to do baby steps in this ecosystem to understand what's going on. And it starts with Coinbase, then EVM compatible chains, and then you go to Solana and everything else. Like I think a lot of people in this space, especially those OGs who are talking shit, you've been here 5 years, 10 years, 11 years. Where did you start?
Yeah.
You had to start somewhere. So I just don't understand this thesis. I guarantee everybody who is talking shit used Coinbase or Binance at some point in their daily life, and or still probably use it when they want to get fiat to the traditional world.
100% they do. Absolutely. Yeah, CT needs to pull their heads out of their asses. Completely missed the boat on this one. I agree. They should have been looking at, wow, how awesome is this that on Fox News, mainstream, media slot, you've got, the people that the major political and pop culture figures talking about Bitcoin in a Bitcoin bar, and instead it's DeFi this, DeFi that. And the other thing, it needs to be a wake up call. Well, if you don't like that he's pushing people to CeFi, then fucking step up your game, DeFi, and start inventing better tools. Like, how long has MetaMask been around? Why are all these tools still an absolute nightmare? Why for every new chain do we need 17 different wallets and all these different interfaces and bridges and blah blah blah? Like our system as it is not user friendly. Stop pretending like it's not. Let's use this as a kick in the ass to motivate us to go out there and build better stuff. Like, that's what this industry used to be about, is like, absolute cyberpunk tech evangelists going out there talking about how can we make the world a better place, and now we're bitching about getting the best possible promotion we could have. So I don't get it.
Yeah, and again with that, something I saw over the weekend, and I haven't looked too deep into it, and I don't know if it's launched yet, but both Coinbase and Binance this weekend talking about centralized exchange users being able to tap into decentralized exchange liquidity pools. So I don't know how that will interface with the SEX, but that is what they're talking about. Their centralized exchange users are going to be able to tap into the DeFi sector while still using the UI UX of the centralized exchange. So we're talking about that, and it looks like the biggest players, the people that crypto Twitter are hating on, are trying to make the steps to make centralized exchange users easily onboard into the decentralized liquidity pools that you're trying to preach to them to use.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Bad Breath Poker commenting on YouTube, says, give me Amaru. The people want Amaru. We'll get him back here next week. He's I think he's on a Costco run today. Needed to go get some groceries for the family or something. So we'll pass the compliments along.
If you want Amaru, he's been doing daily videos. So make sure to watch that 17-minute recording. I think it was put out probably 2 hours ago. So make sure to watch that 17 minutes on his market updates.
Absolutely. Another big hot topic that you and I have kind of gone back and forth on, and pretty much everybody in the space has a different take on, is whether or not we are in a bull market with just a slow time or a consolidation in a bull market, or whether we're actually in a bear market, right? Kathy Woods is obviously still super bullish, saying we're halfway through the bear cycle. Bitcoin is still in a bull market. Digital News Assets, great channel to follow if you don't already, says we're in a bearish market. I don't think we stay here for 4 years, but to say we're in a bull market is missing it, in my opinion. I don't know. What's your take on this? We're obviously in some kind of a bearish posture, but are we in a bear market, a crypto winter, a mini bear, or is this just, are you looking at this as a very normal, typical pullback and consolidation during an otherwise prosperous bull market?
I think it's normal market activity, and really you had a black swan event in tariffs, and Bitcoin remained strong, sitting here at $80,000, $84,000. So to me, I still think we're in a bull market. So all these people who are saying we're in a bear market, if you go look at their timelines and their histories, they said, hey, everything that's happening for crypto is so bullish, that's so good and grand, but we're going to stay in the same 4-year halving cycle. It's just the nature of the beast. Well, if that's the case, then the bull market continues until Q3, Q4 of 2025. And now they're saying we're in a bear market. So they're kind of talking in hyperbole on their own beliefs. And I'm sitting here saying, I think at the worst case scenario, we're still in the traditional 4-year halving cycle, which means that we're still in the bull market. This is a black swan event with the tariffs that we're surviving. NASDAQ down 8 to 9% at the low. That happened last year. We went down 10%. I've been a proponent that this could be the longest bull market, which means we lead into 2026, breaking the 4-year halving cycle for bullish momentum. Now, ARK is saying 1.5 million here. You got Michael Saylor saying 500,000. I've been on the record saying 244,000 by the end of 2025. People think that's crazy, but really that's like a 3x from here. Is it crazy for Bitcoin the year after the halving to go up 3x in that final year? Go look at the charts. That would actually be an underperformance to what it's done historically. So I don't think it's all that crazy. You're talking bigger numbers, but percentage-wise, it's right in line with what we've done in the past.
Well, there's so many things that are confluent that could help, bring that about. I mean, one that I think is underrated, I've seen a few posts about it recently, is the what's looking like the forming upcoming cold war of Bitcoin between the U.S. and China. I don't know if you've seen some of these posts, but China and the U.S. are pretty much neck and neck right now for who has the most Bitcoin. That is something that could very, very quickly spiral out of control in a very good way for all of us in the crypto space. I'm looking for it right now and not seeing the chart. Here we go. Here's the post I was looking for. Let me throw this up quick. Here we go. The silent battle for Bitcoin supremacy, right? The new Cold War. The U.S. has 198,000 Bitcoin. China 190. They've been buying quietly in the background.
The thing is that that China number hasn't been updated in quite a while. That's been the number they're sitting on for a while. So it'd be interesting to see if China comes out officially makes Bitcoin ownership legal again, and then it says, "Oh, we have these 3 wallets that you didn't know about that are the official government wallets," and all of a sudden that jumps from 190 to 210 or something.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah, and we saw a really bullish statement. I can't remember who it was. Somebody in the cabinet or somebody very close to President Trump saying, we haven't put the pen to paper yet in terms of the regulation around a strategic reserve. But, he says this administration, we want to buy as much Bitcoin as we can. So, again, this cold war over Bitcoin could turn into a hot war over Bitcoin real fast. And think about the 2 economic heavyweights in the world, China and the U.S., going back and forth trying to buy more Bitcoin from each other. That gets accelerated.
That gets accelerated by green candles. Like we're seeing here in the United States, if you go look it up, there are states that are either passing bills or they're putting forth bills to use a percentage of their state tax income in order to buy Bitcoin and build a state-level Bitcoin strategic reserve. This has already been pushed out by over half of the states in the United States. So if green candles come and those get approved, and you have the states buying and the federal government buying or seizing assets and holding, and then you have China buying, this is the momentum that could really steamroll things. You also have Michael Saylor looking to raise $21 billion and doing a new raise offering 10% dividend yield. Now, does that 10% dividend yield blow up in the future? Potentially, but I don't think it blows up here and now, and I think that creates a blow off top that everybody's looking for in Bitcoin. Well, I say everybody, but apparently now all crypto Twitter has forgotten the 4-year halving cycle, has become bearish or sold other assets and is looking for lower lows because they're sitting here saying we're in a bear market. Zoom out in the chart and tell me we're in a bear market. Yes, for altcoins, it's been rough. And yes, for Ethereum, it's been rough. But Bitcoin is still the index, the last time I checked, the king of the market who leads the market. And if you zoom out, you're telling me we're in a bear market? I just don't see that. I don't believe it with what I'm hearing from regulation and who's buying, where's buying, what's going on. And it's interesting that the price is depressed here. But if you zoom out, and this is the biggest NASDAQ drop, most rapid NASDAQ drop since the last one we had over a year ago, which affects risk on assets. What's Bitcoin? The biggest risk on asset in the marketplace. So, of course, it's going to be affected by the downturn in traditional stocks. So, do we have more volatility? We'll hear today with the FOMC. We'll hear on April 2nd with the more tariffs going into act. Once those headwinds kind of get to our back, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, a lot to kind of that you just talked about is touching on a few other posts I wanted to pull up here. One of which, speaking about Michael Saylor, obviously we love the guy, mega bull. Adam Cochran, I don't know if you're how familiar you guys or the audience are with him, but he's a pretty insufferable douchebag, in my opinion. Not a huge fan of his, but he went on a tirade today, talking about how Saylor's about to get rugged and this is all Ponzi and it's gonna fall apart and how this, and he found all the numbers and how it doesn't work out, blah blah blah. And of course, CT unraveled his opinion in about 2 seconds for the most part. But the thing that I took away from this, one, while I do think I'm not a big fan of Mr. Cochran, but Well, I think he missed the point in terms of the numbers he was trying to expose. This was something trying to get attention, in my opinion. I have to agree with the sentiment behind it. Anytime I see something that seems too good to be true, I am always suspicious. And as much as I love Saylor and what he is doing, this infinite money Bitcoin glitch that supposedly he's created, it scares the shit out of me. Never underestimate the arrogance of intelligence. How many times have we seen people that think they can outsmart the markets or, game the system, etc. And on very high levels. FTX is a great example. I mean, Luna is a great example. Like time and time again, and not just within crypto, within all industries. The vast majority of the time we see something that's sounds too good to be true. It is. Do I think this is going to unravel tomorrow or in December or whatever the timeline that Adam gave? No, but does this potentially scare me for the long term? It does kind of feel like we're kind of taking the fiat approach, kicking the can down the road here. At some point the other shoe's got to drop. I don't know if you've had similar feelings about Saylor and what he's doing or not.
Yeah, but before I talk about that, there is some breaking news here. Whale alert just popped up on my phone not once but twice. 180 million USDC and then 174 million USDC transferred from different unknown wallets to Coinbase. I don't know. Are they going to buy? That's definitely not a bearish indicator. We'll see. That's over 350 million USDC coming from unknown wallets and getting transferred to Coinbase. We'll see what happens with that. So talking about Michael Saylor, the way he has structured the Bitcoin he owns now, he owns it at an average price of around $66,000, I believe, and there's no leverage on that. So he can't get liquidated. People are like, well, if Bitcoin goes to 66, he goes to zero. Nope. Then he'll just sell stock, MicroStrategy stock, to pay back the debt owed on the issuance schedule, which will hurt the stock market price, but that means he doesn't have to sell Bitcoin and he can't go to zero. Now, what I do fear is this new thing that he's starting, which the bottom of this tweet talks about, is he's raising now with the promise of a 10% yearly dividend paid out in cash, which means at that point, he does need Bitcoin to perform in order to provide that 10% dividend yield, which would mean that his stock price goes up, he can sell stock shares and pay out that dividend. So if he does this 10% promise, Bitcoin underperforms, MicroStrategy underperforms, and now he has to sell stock to pay out the 10% dividend yield, that's when things can start to unravel. But again, the debt that he has, the debt issuance schedule he has, it's virtually at a 0% APR with no leverage. And he will probably sell all of his MicroStrategy stock before he sells any Bitcoin. So that's why I think the cane can get kicked down the road a bit. We can see much higher upside to Bitcoin still. Now, when I get scared is if he keeps doing these offerings when Bitcoin goes to $150,000 and $200,000. If I'm saying the top is $250K and he's leveraging up at $200,000, because understand traditional markets, Bitcoin can go to my $244K and go down to $125K, and that's a normal retracement.
Yeah,
that would probably be devastating to MicroStrategy holders and would put some pressure on Michael Saylor to try to pivot. So that's when I would be concerned. Him buying here at 80,000, where I think the bull market's not over, that gives him a 12-month horizon before he's got to even pay that first dividend out. I don't think that's catastrophic, and he's not levered up, and he has the stock that he could sell before he would need to sell the Bitcoin.
Yeah, Adam was trying to take the angle of the same thing you mentioned, the 10% perpetual interest on the new rounds that he's raising, and he lays out the whole mathematical gotcha of why why Michael Saylor's about to go bankrupt. I'm pretty sure Michael Saylor and his team of investors and advisors at MSRT are very well aware of the potential and how that worked. But I'm pretty sure they thought
what
about
Adam is missing. I think what Adam is missing is he's thinking of the mindset they owe 10%. How are they going to make that if they're not selling the Bitcoin? You are backing this debt with MicroStrategy, which is now valued at $250 a share, and when Bitcoin goes up, that thing's probably going to go to $500 a share. Of which Michael Saylor is stating that he will sell in order to pay off debtors if needed. So that's what I think Cochran is missing here is there's the backing of the MicroStrategy stock, of which is worth hundreds of billions of dollars right now.
Absolutely. And we all know why Saylor has the conviction that he does. I mean, this chart right here tells us everything we need to know and why all of us, love and believe in this industry and in Bitcoin, showing the purchasing power of the dollar
That's
over
crazy.
the last years. Now that's almost an inverse to Bitcoin. And you can
my
see
buddy
why.
is, and this kind of portrays to what you see in daily life. I know a lot of people are seeing the pictures of McDonald's when we were kids and McDonald's now and what's going on with architecture. My buddy is a bricklayer, works in masonry, and we were driving around the city and we were admiring the the crazy terracotta and the Angar. You couldn't even afford to build that now. And I'm like, is that a presence of a lost art, or is that a presence of just hyperinflation and the materials just cost too much? And it's really just the hyperinflation of the US dollar making it that it's not even feasible to build brick buildings and terracotta buildings and granite buildings because it's going to cost way too much to import that stuff. And it's really sad to see that, but that's just the nature of the beast that we're in right now, and why I think culture in general is just fading to this modern black, gray, and white everywhere you look, square boxes, and you can't do anything with it because that's really all you can afford. You can't afford any other materials rather than lumber and siding.
Yeah, it's really sad to see in most cases, right? People, I see all kinds of posts on my channels I follow on on Instagram or on X are these, classical this or classical that, and yeah, it shows what we used to build architecture wise, what we build now. And it's sad to see a lot of times that, yeah, the former beauty of the architecture that we had, it's not that we, don't do it anymore. It's that in most cases we can't do it anymore.
Right.
What kind of church has, the hundreds of millions of dollars it would take to build a cathedral like, some that you see in Europe nowadays, right? Just not feasible.
It's wild because you even go to your local Catholic church, you go in there and they all have the marble pillars and the paintings on the ceilings. You can't even afford to do that. You couldn't, if you're building from scratch, you're not making a church a lot of brick. It's just wild that that's where society's gone, and that's with the best performing fiat currency in the existence of the world and mankind, and that's still the inflation chart we're looking at. That's what's wild because we get spoiled in the United States. We're dealing with our 26% inflation under the Biden administration, and that's like the end of the world. Look at the hyperinflation in 90% of other countries. It's wild. It's crazy to see.
Well, and much as we like to bag on the man, he's one of crypto's favorite whipping boys, Mr. Peter Schiff here. He's got a great message as to exactly why that is, why we see the chart for the buying power of the US dollar going strictly down and to the right, why we can't build these